Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to CrackGradeB. So we are going to start the question answer session and we'll be doing it very quickly. And yeah, so let us start. Question number one. This is a mixture, and if any of the questions we have already done previously, so we are going to skip that and we'll be focusing on to the questions that are still needed to be done, right? So just a second. Yes. Let us see that. So question number one, we have this concept states that revenues and expenses must be recorded at the same time at which they are incurred. In general, revenue should be with the expenses incurred during the accounting period. So in this we are talking about the matching concept. Matching concept में हम यही बारे में बात करते हैं that whatever your revenues have been for the period, there should be matching expenses to that, right? So that your profit is recorded accurately, and this is your matching concept. Next is, it is concerned with the record keeping directed towards the preparation of trial balance, P&L account and balance sheet. So what is that? Financial accounting, cost accounting, management accounting or bookkeeping. Correct answer is financial accounting, because the ultimate purpose of financial accounting is to prepare your balance sheet, P&L as well as the trial balance, right? Now next thing is the convention. This particular convention implies that accounting practices should remain the same from one year to another. So this is a consistency principle कि जो भी आपने accounting policies you have followed, you have to follow them consistently. Number one part. If you are not following them, for example, the method of depreciation is changing. ठीक है? Depreciation का method अगर change हो रहा है, so in that particular case, you have to provide a disclosure that why you have deviated from the accounting policy. No, you don't have to tell me the answer, because we don't have that much time कि आप answer बताएंगे and then we will see that. So I'll be just telling you the answer, as well as if there is any further explanation that will be needed, right? Next question. Starting में कुछ questions बहुत आसान है. Then we'll be going for the difficulty level as well. So next is, this account includes account of corporate bodies or institutions which are recognized as persons in the business dealing. ठीक है? So obviously what we are talking about, corporate bodies. Corporate bodies, they are the artificial persons. So here we are talking about the artificial personal account. For sure representing a particular person, ठीक है, but they are the artificial in nature. They are artificial in nature, and this is very, what you can say, basic. कि personal account में what is the rule? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Real account में what is the rule? Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So if you have an asset, you are going to debit that. So just remember it. Over here, what else that can be asked is, for example, the outstanding salary account. ठीक है? Salary account has got a different nature, but outstanding salary account has got a different nature, because salary account is a nominal account, whereas outstanding salary account is representing someone. ठीक है? So that is the difference, and I'm hoping that you are getting that. Next is question number 5, that is, such assets are mines, quarries that becomes exhausted or reduce in value by their working. They are called as the wasting assets. So in these kind of assets, they have a limited capacity, and after once that particular capacity exhausted, once those minerals are exhausted, after that those assets are going to decline in nature. So that is the nature of the asset. Intangible and fictitious assets के बीच में many of the times we are confused. So intangible asset is a kind of asset which obviously we cannot see, feel or touch, but still they are assets. For example, patents, copyrights, they do give us future economic benefit. But when we talk about fictitious assets, they are just written onto the asset side. They are not actually assets. ठीक है? असलियत में assets नहीं है. For example, preliminary expenses. In case of preliminary expenses, this is an expense which you are going to write down in the upcoming future, right? You are going to write it off in the upcoming future, and that is why it is being written onto the asset side, but it is actually not helping you to earn any kind of future economic benefit. So that is the difference between the intangible as well as the fictitious assets. Then we have question number 6. It is the principal books of accounts which represents to a particular person or property. So that is what we are calling it as ledger. ठीक है? Ledger is a principal book of account, right? Journal is the primary entry in which every transaction is recorded. Next is next you have an accountant of a company while making entry mistakenly has entered 115 instead of 151. लिखना था 151 but he has entered as 115. Which of the following type of error it is? Error of principal, compensating error, error of commission, error of omission, none of these. Error of omission is by its name itself, it is self explanatory कि आप एकदम भूल गए हैं रिकॉर्ड करना ही, right? आप भूल गए हैं रिकॉर्ड करना ही, so that is the particular thing. Compensating error का मतलब ये होता है that error would not be found out, right? You have done one error and in order to compensate you have done the another error and both the errors are compensating each other. Error of principle का मतलब है, for example suppose I have purchased inventory and I have recorded, instead of purchases account I have recorded that into machinery, so that will be the principal related error. So that will over here in this particular question you have committed the error of commission, आपने amount में गलती की है. Fictitious में preliminary expense is just an example. There can be another kind of examples as well. For example, discount on issue of debentures, right? You that particular thing you might be writing off and that is also a fictitious asset. Next we have question number 8. As per section 2 subsection 40 of the Companies Act, financial statement in relation to a company, what it includes? So all of the above, balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement and any explanatory note, all of this together they form your what you can say financial statements. This is the explanation to it. Next we have, it is possible obligation that arises from past event and the existence of which will be confirmed only by the occurrence of uncertain future events. ठीक है? Possible obligation, that means still we are not sure whether it is going to happen or not. होगा कि नहीं अभी हमको बिल्कुल पता नहीं है, but we are sure that in future if any particular uncertain event happens, so this might happen. ये हो सकता है and that we are calling it as contingent liability. Remember that about contingent liability, you might know the amount as well. जैसे कि for example we are fighting for a court case and we know that if I am going to lose I will have to pay 1 lakh rupees in form of penalty. So I know what could be the possible loss, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to win the case or am I going to lose the case, right? So whatever is the scenario I'm not sure about, so that is why we are calling it as contingent liability, and there will be no adjustment in the balance sheet for the contingent liability. It is going to be represented as to the notes to accounts. Which of the following is not a current asset? Very easy question. Deferred tax asset is not a current asset. ठीक है? Even if you have seen the financial statements related videos, I have very well explained what is a deferred tax asset and it is a part of non-current asset, right? So it will not be part of current asset. Next is deferred tax liability कहाँ पे show किया जाएगा? The answer to this particular question is wrong over here. It is not a contingent liability. Deferred tax assets will be shown in the as a separate line item in the balance sheet. ठीक है? Balance sheet में अलग तरीके से दिखाया जाएगा. This is a part of your long term liability. ठीक है? तो just ignore this particular question. इसका आंसर सही नहीं है. If one acquires a machine for 5 lakh, pays 20,000 as transportation charges, 40,000 as installation charges, the total cost of machine will be, just when we read the accounting standard on the property, plant and equipment, we have talked about that whatever expense we are incurring till the asset is ready to use will be taken as your, what you can say, cost of the asset. Just give me a moment, please. Just a moment. Yes. Okay. Next we have which of the following is not an example of the capital expenditure. So in case of capital expenditure, अगर आप खर्चा कर रहे हैं, either you are constructing an asset, या तो आप कोई asset बना रहे हैं, और you are reducing a long term liability, ठीक है, या फिर कोई long term liability कम हो रही है. So in this particular case, purchase of a new computer software, right? This is your asset. You are constructing an asset, that will be a capital expenditure. Wait, what they are asking is not an example of capital expenditure. Okay, amount incurred to repair on a second hand machinery, brokerage, government stamp duty, legal expenses, the expenses paid in the process of formation of a company, and wages paid to the worker, they all are not the example of capital expenditure. This is the example of capital expenditure. यहाँ पे question सही होना चाहिए, not नहीं आना चाहिए. An example of capital expenditure, all those are routine expenditure, whereas purchase of a new computer software is the asset construction, and hence that will be called as a capital expenditure. ठीक है. Next is, which of the following is not an example of the revenue expenditure? Depreciation, cost of goods sold, cost incurred to keep the asset in working condition, inventory of raw material, WIP, interest on loan taken to acquire the fixed assets only for the period before the asset becomes operational. इससे पहले की asset जो है आपकी operational हो. So this will be treated as a capital expenditure. E, option number E. See, what I did tell you, whenever you are purchasing an asset, until the time asset is not ready to use, all the expenses will go in the cost of asset. So if you have taken an interest on loan to construct a particular asset, and asset is still not operational, मतलब कि अभी ready to use नहीं है, then the interest will be added into the cost of asset, and hence it will be called as a capital expenditure. इसीलिए यहाँ पे नहीं दिखाया है. कौन से वाले क्वेश्चन का? प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन का. वेट, the amount incurred to repair a second hand machinery, repair is a revenue expenditure, it is not a capital expenditure. ठीक है, repair is a revenue expenditure, not a capital expenditure. Next is, it refers to fall in the value of fixed assets due to new technology, introduction of a better process technique, change in taste, fashion, etc. Fall in the value of fixed asset due to new technology. Remember that. What is the keyword given over here? New technology की वजह से, if there is fall in the value of the asset, right, that is obsolescence. I hope now Yudhishri you are clear about it कि हम किस बारे में बात कर, क्यों हमने उसको नहीं लिया. Repairs to a second hand machinery is never a capital expenditure. Next, it refers to fall in fixed assets due to new technology. वापस से वही question है. Which one of the following is not prepared by a not-for-profit organization? So they do not prepare a P&L account, because not-for-profit organization, they prepare receipt and payments account. Apart from that, income and expenditure account. ठीक है, ये बनाते हैं वो, and balance sheet बनाते हैं. They do not prepare the P&L account. Next is, legacy are generally capitalized, treated loss, revenue expenses, deferred revenue expenditures, legacy items, they are capitalized and going to appear in your balance sheet. The term partnership has been defined under which particular section? So under section 4, that particular term has been defined. See, in that question number 13, I did mark that particular question's directive was wrong. 5 options में से 4 revenue expenditure दे रखे थे और 5वां capital expenditure था. ठीक है, 5वां कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर था, उस क्वेश्चन का डायरेक्टिव गलत था. आपने पहला ऑप्शन तो देखा, बट बाकी के 3 नहीं देखे. वापस देख लेना आप उसको, मैंने उस वक्त क्या कहा उसमें. A partnership for which no period or duration is fixed under the Indian Partnership Act, it will be called as the partnership at will. ठीक है, partnership which has been formed for a particular purpose, that will be called as a particular partnership. Next we have, which of the following is not correct for the entitlement of partners in profits only? So just let's see. Number 1, he is entitled to share the profits only. He is liable for the losses. He is not liable for the losses. He is liable to the third parties for all acts of profits only, and none of these, right? So over here what they are asking is, which of the following is not correct for the entitlement of partners in profit? So partners in profit, he is entitled to share the profits only, not liable for the losses. He is liable to the third party for all the acts of profits only, right? And here they are asking you कि correct क्या नहीं है, so he is not liable. ठीक है, वो बंदा liable नहीं है. Next we have question number 22. Which of the following adjustments are required to be done in the books of the firm? क्या adjustment करने पड़ेंगे? If new profit sharing ratio has been computed, revaluation of assets and liability, distribution of reserves, adjustment for goodwill, all of these. ठीक है? So whenever the new partner comes in, तो आपको नया profit sharing ratio calculate करना पड़ेगा. In all these cases, adjustments are needed in case of the partnership form of organization. So hence all of the above will be the correct answer. Next is question number 23. That is, and the registrar of the ROC that are entrusted with the task of administering the LLP Act. So LLP, Limited Liability Partnership, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, as well as the ROC. LLP is a mixed format where the partnership features as well as the company related features, they both come in, right? So that is why it is a mixed thing, and that it comes under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We have got an act for this as well, called as the LLP Act 2008. Next is, as per LLP Act, every LLP shall have minimum number of partners. कितने होने चाहिए? 2 होने चाहिए कम से कम. That is required. In case of LLP, a very prominent feature that it takes from the company form of organization is that the liability of the members is going to be limited, not like what you can say partnership. ठीक है, partnership form of organization की तरह नहीं. यहाँ पे जो आपकी liability है वो limited होती है, and that is the feature it gets from the company. Next is, there are only how many accounting standards right now? There are 27 accounting standards at present which has been prescribed, right? After India's prescription, see, it's not the case कि आपकी जो accounting standards हैं वो vogue में नहीं है और they are not in the practice. That is not true. Your accounting standards, they are well in practice. They are used by your, what you can say, sole proprietorship, partnership form of organizations like that. But for listed companies and the companies which have been prescribed, for example, your banking, insurance, they have to go with the Ind AS. Next is, Companies Act 2013 requires the auditor to report whether in his opinion the financial statements comply with the accounting standard, under which particular section they have to prescribe. So remember that auditor से related जो भी आपके sections है ना, they come around it. Section 144, section 143 likewise, right? Starting with section 138, वहां से स्टार्ट होके ऑडिटर्स के सारे सेक्शन आपके यहीं पे हैं. नेक्स्ट इज, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has notified Ind AS as companies rules as amended by the Companies Amendment Rules 2016. So your answer is E, and the options that have been given to you is 16, 21, 24, 27 and 41, and